I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Advisory Finance Committee meeting number 34 for fiscal year 22. Today is June 30th, 2022. Pursuant to the governor's directive, no in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted for entirely remote meetings, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access these proceedings in real time via technological means on Westborough TV, Verizon Channel 28 or Charter Channel 192, or on the web at www.youtube.com/Westborough TV. However, in the event we are unable to do so despite our best efforts, we will post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Folks, this is an unusual situation. So since we can't have hands up being seen, for most of us, I guess, please state your name if you want to make a comment about anything, and we'll get you right in. Next item on the agenda is the minutes. I'm going to hold those minutes until after we dispense with the transfer request and the ARPA request. So let me officially welcome Tim Foster, our Assistant Town Manager, to the meeting this evening. And members of the committee, I recommend we proceed in the following order. That we deal with the AFC Reserve Fund requests. That would include the snow and ice and the insurance transfer request, followed by the department transfer requests, then the the ARPA request for a recommendation, and then the minutes, and then the balance of our established agenda. Are there any objections to that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, great. So I think you all have a copy, at least you've had access to a copy of a chart that Walter put together for us. And if you have that in front of you, let me quickly just give you an indication that it very nicely covers our actions with respect to the reserve fund to date. Our current balance is $258,569. So,
would you like a motion, Mike?
I would like a motion with respect to the snow and ice, and we'll take the first one, which is the transfer from or transfer to salary and wages.
Okay, I move to transfer from the AFC Reserve $3,551.56 to DPW salary and wages.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Beth. Okay, any discussion on this? All right, hearing none, we'll vote alphabetically. Jean, just by way of reminder, you vote after Walter. So,
Blumberg.
Beth, would you?
Blumberg, yes.
Board, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes.
It is 7-0-0.
Okay.
Okay. I move that we transfer $184,207.44 from the AFC Reserve to expenses DPW for the purpose of snow and ice.
Is there a second?
Blumberg, second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
Does the DPW ever make an effort to try and suggest if a season has been above average, below average, whatever that average means, just to put into context what kind of a year we've had to account for, being far off of the budget?
Right. In other words, is this unusual amount of clearing, or did prices go up because of, fuel and things like that? That's a good
Yeah,
question.
that absolutely, those are both absolutely factors.
Kim, can you shed some light on?
I don't have the answer to that, but what I can certainly take back to the DPW director if you'd like. What I've seen in the past, I don't know if you've done this here before, at the end of the season to provide a detailed listing of events and the nature of the event and the duration of the event, because as you all know, it doesn't have to be a foot of snow dumped on us. Sometimes those are actually the shorter duration events to clean up. It's the ones where it ices overnight. So I'm happy to ask for that and to ask Chris to provide something to you.
Okay. Any other questions for Kim or any other concerns? Okay, hearing none, can we proceed with a vote, please? Beth?
Blumberg, yes.
Ford, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes.
700.
Okay. Next, the next item is the request for a transfer from the reserve fund to insurance. And Kim, most of the transfers that we're going to be dealing with are to insurance this evening. Can you kind of fill us in on what we're looking at? Is this just general liability? Is this health insurance? Do you have any idea of what we're dealing with here? Because it is a substantial amount of money.
It is, absolutely. So within our insurance budget, it includes our property and casualty liability, workers' comp. We have workers' comp, and then we also have what we refer to as injured on duty. It's a separate policy that covers police and fire. We also have our health insurance premiums and some other line items, life insurance, some other things. Typically, in any year, the way we budget it, we, particularly with the health insurance, the medical insurance, we tend to budget anticipating perhaps an increase of up to 10 subscribers. Often what happens, as you know, it's bottom line budgeting. So if we don't expend all of the funds on our workers' comp line or our property casualty line, and our health insurance is over what we budgeted on the line, in the end, as long as the net increase doesn't exceed the total budget, we don't have to come and ask for a transfer. We deal with that within the insurance budget. This year, we saw the primary driver. We had more than 40, probably closer to 50 new subscribers on our health insurance plan.
Do we know why?
There are a number of factors, and this is anecdotal in looking at as people come in. We did have a number of individuals who retired, and when we replaced them and hired new folks, they were eligible for insurance and they came onto our insurance plan. The reason that's significant or important, our retirees are allowed to stay on our active plan until they become Medicare eligible. We can also pick up a retiree who maybe wasn't on the active plan when they retired. For example, someone retires at 60. They're not on our insurance plan when they retire. 2 years later, maybe their spouse becomes Medicare eligible. That individual, our former employee, is not. They might come back on and pick up our individual active plan until they reach Medicare eligibility. So those types of things are sometimes hard to predict. We also know that we had an unusually high number of retirees, both on the town side as well as the school side, because keep in mind, this budget, the insurance budget, funds both the town and the school. It covers everyone. We also saw a number of individuals who came onto our plan off cycle from our normal open enrollment period, which to me, what that indicates, they had a qualifying event. Something happened that allowed them to pick up on the plan, which often means a spouse may have lost coverage or some, circumstance. I think we know anecdotally in some cases that was a function of the economy. We also have seen, we're fortunate at the beginning when we hire someone and perhaps they're under age 26 and they're able to continue on their parents' plan. But then at age 26, they age off. And I know we did pick up several of those this year. So I think there are a number of factors that contributed in this year, things that were probably more difficult to plan for because they were related to the economy. We also did see more retirements than we've typically seen in recent years. Again, I think some of that, we had a number of people who were planned retirements. And then, for whatever reason, we saw some folks, they were eligible and they chose to retire. One of the things I just want to mention, we have a few things going on that are actually, I'm sorry.
Please continue, Kim.
A couple of things that we have in place that are actually helping to mitigate. A year ago, we met with our Insurance Advisory Commission, which is representatives from all of our unions, and they agreed that we would put criteria in place for individuals to join our more expensive PPO, preferred provider option. We offer an HMO and a PPO. The PPO is a more expensive option. So we did see a decrease in the number of subscribers on the PPO plan, which was positive. They moved off and moved on to the HMO plan. So we recognize significant savings because of that, or cost avoidance. We also were able to, working with the Insurance Advisory Commission this spring, we got them to agree we are offering a high deductible plan. This is the first time the town is offering that type of a plan. So the premiums are lower, which result in cost savings to both the employee and the town. Just keep in mind the town pays 75% of the premium for our employees. So that plan, it's an off-cycle open enrollment. We're offering that plan as of September 1. We've been meeting with folks. We did a number of educational sessions, tried to get people out to explain it to them. We are offering, and the town will contribute to a health savings account, sort of the carrot to try and get folks to join. So hopefully our open enrollment hasn't concluded, so I don't have numbers yet on how many people are moving over, but we're hoping that's another factor that long-term will help us contain some of our insurance costs.
Kim,
Any
I
other
have
questions?
a question. I have one, Walter. Kim, given that you're in a bit of a state of flux now, you probably can't answer this now, but I assume that maybe by September we could. Do we need to do anything at the special town meeting with this budget?
At this point, we haven't discussed bringing anything forward. We did have an increase in our premiums this year, so we did increase the budget anticipating that. I'm hopeful, though, that while we had to increase it related to the premium increase, we will be able to achieve some savings through enrollment in the high deductible plan, as well as we have a number of individuals who we've already spoken to and know they'll be coming off of the PPO onto the less expensive HMO in the coming months. And then the other piece, hang on, there's something else I wanted to mention. Just so you're aware, the town does offer an opt-out incentive. So for an individual who has been on our plan for 2 years, after 2 consecutive years on our plan, if they move off of the plan, if they move off of a family plan, there's a $4,000 annual payment. And if they move off of an individual plan, there's a $1,500 annual payment. So one of the things we also are continuing to do is to promote and make sure people are aware of that plan. And I'm kind of watching as we've been hiring and had a lot of turnover over this past year. the HR coordinator and I, who really handles a lot of the benefits, we were talking about, a year from now is when we need to make sure that we really publicize and remind those folks who will be hitting eligibility at that point of that opt-out, because we save a tremendous amount of money when people take advantage of that as well. But Walter, back to your question, at this point, we don't have plans, but we will obviously be monitoring it.
Great, thanks. And
Any
thanks
other
for all the
questions?
useful information. Good.
Gene, I have a question. Kim,
Go ahead, please.
it seems that one of the things that's driving the volume is the unanticipated retirements and then the replacement. So you're basically carrying two people in each spot. Do you know how long that you expect to see that bubble?
I don't have firm data. Potentially a couple of years. I'm just thinking through, running through names and ages in my head as far as things that I know. We're talking people going, typically it's after, I don't want to say typically, if people are going after age 60, which the ones that are coming to my mind right now were older than 60. So you're probably talking a few years before they become Medicare eligible. Or we also achieve savings when they themselves might not be Medicare eligible, but their spouse if they have a spouse who's a couple years older, they then will drop down to the individual plan.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Oh,
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
please.
Okay, I move that we transfer from the AFC Reserve Fund $70,575 to the insurance budget.
Blumberg second.
Bradley, second.
Great. Okay, any further discussion? All right, then let's move to a vote. Beth?
Blumberg, yes.
Melanie? Oh, we may have lost Melanie.
Bradley, yes.
Andrew?
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes. That'll be 6-0.
Correct.
Okay, folks, so that leaves the AFC, reserve budget with a balance of $235, and let's hope nothing happens between now and midnight tonight.
Can we go buy beer?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this done before we run out of light.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll need the beer. Anyway, let's move on. May I suggest that since we've had that explanation on insurance, that we deal with all of the insurance transfer requests, the departmental budget transfer requests to insurance in one action. And unless anybody objects, we can have a motion to make all of those transfers in this one motion.
Okay, I can do that.
That would be lovely. I apologize. I'm about to enter an elevator. I don't know if I'll see if I can come back when I'm done.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
it's going down or up.
Right,
Okay,
literally.
I move we transfer the sum of $23,000 from the health department salary and wages and the sum of $25,000 from conservation salary and wages and the sum of $32,000 from finance department salary and wages and $4,000 from AFC wages and $9,000 from election and registration wages for a total of $93,000 transfer
To the insurance budget.
to the insurance budget. Correct.
Second, please.
McMahon,
Bradley,
second.
Any further discussion on insurance? Okay.
I like
then
how our admin helped buy insurance.
Yes, that person did, whoever that person is. So Beth, are you still with us? I guess not. Melanie?
Ford, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Already, yes. So
Six,
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next transfer, which is request to transfer $15,000 from the Finance Department salary and wage line to the electricity budget.
I'd like a rebate.
It's like, very good. Okay. Kim, is there anything you can fill us in on this one, please?
The electricity budget is one that I think you frequently see interdepartmental transfers made to cover over expenditures on this line. It does fluctuate year to year. One of the components of the electricity budget is our street lighting, and that tends to be the one where you often see bigger swings annually. So our actual expenses on that one are often tied to weather conditions, the more dark and rainy nights you have, those types of things. So this is just a situation where we have had increases, but it's similar to how we've handled it in the past.
Thank you. Any questions on this? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this transfer.
I move that we approve the transfer from the Finance Department salary and wages, the sum of $15,000 to the electricity budget.
Is there a second, please?
Dolan, second.
Bradley, second.
Okay.
I think I heard Tom that time.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to a vote.
Just a clarification first.
Yes.
Kim, I believe we're on a fixed cost negotiated rate, so this is not a cost increase. This has to be a usage increase, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Anybody else? Okay, we'll proceed to a vote. Melanie?
Ford, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Already, yes.
600.
600.
Yes.
Okay. And the final transfer request is from the Zoning Board of Appeals. They're requesting a transfer of $500 from their wages and clerical line to their advertising line. Is there any discussion on this? Any questions at all? Okay.
I just assume that's something like newspaper posting or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're required,
Yeah.
they're legally required to advertise in the newspaper. And as you may recall, when we were meeting remotely and all of that language that had to be read at the beginning of the meeting, that also had to be printed in the advertisements. So that increased the cost of running all of those ads.
Can we hit Charlie Baker up for the money?
Unfunded mandate? Sure.
Okay, I move that we approve a transfer of $500 from, oh, my light just came back on. Zoning
Yeah,
Board, wage clerical to Zoning Board advertising. ZBA, sorry, advertising.
Bradley,
Is
second.
there a second? Thank you, Andrew. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. Beth, are you with us? Yes, not. Melanie?
Board, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Already, yes.
Also 600.
0-0. Okay, moving on. We have a request for a recommendation from the fire department for additional funds for their public radio infrastructure. As you recall, we recommended to the select board and they approved the amount of $94,660 for this project. And the additional funds requested are $91,705. Kim, we've heard this before, I believe, folks, but Kim, if you could give us a brief summary of what's going on here.
Sure. As you may recall, there was a joint meeting on May 31st. You heard the chief present the proposal and he spoke to the higher dollar value cost, the $186,000 project. When he was speaking about the project, he was speaking about the full cost. The reason that you had not previously approved the full amount, those increases were provided to us right before that meeting on May 31st. So our process with the ARPA projects had been that our internal finance team, AFC, and the select board, I think that was the order in which they were reviewed and approved or recommended. So Christie's suggestion at the May 31st meeting was for the AFC to await the recommendation, allow the finance team, because the finance team had not had a chance to meet, allow the finance team to take up the proposal and offer its recommendation. The finance team did that. The finance team is recommending that the full amount be authorized. So it's back to you. If you want a quick recap, this relates to improving and enhancing the radio infrastructure. So that's really the transmitters and the receivers that are in 4 different locations around town and basically allow for our public safety personnel to have radio operability throughout town. A couple of the improvements are things that enhance the capacity without having to go climb the tower to make some changes that will help. The way the chief explained it, and I made sure he explained it in layman's terms so I could first understand it and then try to repeat it. Basically, this allows for a second frequency so that when they have 2 scenes going on at one time, they're not congesting the same frequency. It also has some features that allow, the chief gave an example, if a radio falls between the seat and it's pressed on, it kind of gums up the frequency and nobody else can talk on it. This gives them some ability from dispatch to shut off radios. But basically, those are some of the enhanced features, but the current transmitters and receivers were put up in 2003. Those were grant funded at the time. And while they are working today, they're no longer supported. So we're okay right now, but they are pretty much at the end of their useful life. And so that's why he's seeking both the original plus these additional enhancements. So it's a $186,000 project. He did make a comment in his presentation that he's hoping he can nudge that down maybe up to 10. But at this point, he's looking for the full 186 based on the quote that he has.
Any questions or comments, please?
I have one question, Mike.
Go ahead, Walter.
I read through the request and it seemed to imply that this is part of a bigger thing too. Is that still true? Like there's more money going through would be requested from the capital committee?
Yes. And the way he explained that to me, this request addresses the towers and the transmission aspect of it, and the piece that will continue or come through capital addresses basically the dispatch center and the radio piece of it. Does that make sense?
Yes. I just want to make sure I was reading that right. So that might be in next year or something.
It's in the capital plan for FY25. Yeah. So it would likely be revised because I think some of the capital covered pieces of both the infrastructure as well as the actual equipment So he'll revise it and refine it. It won't be too long before we start working on capital.
And so my second question is our motion to the total new amount, or is it just that you would do additional? Or what do we
I'm
need to
going
do?
to say it's the additional. I think the others have already been approved. So it's for the
Okay.
additional.
I think you could maybe
I'll
make the
make-
motion, the additional, which brings the total project cost to the 186.
Okay, so I have the new total as 186,365. Does that sound right?
That does sound right.
Looks that way to me as well. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any other questions? Melanie, anything from your end from the liaison to the fire department?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion on this, which would be a recommendation?
Okay,
Walter,
I recommend we approve the use of ARPA funds of an additional $91,705 for a total of $186,365 for the purpose of fire, police department, public radio infrastructure.
There a second?
Bradley, second.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Beth, are you with us? Okay, Melanie?
Ford, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Tom?
Dolan, yes.
Hello, Tom.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes. 600. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've gotten through the bulk of the meeting, and I want to thank you, Kim, again for being with us this evening. Sorry about issues beyond our control.
Quite all right.
but, I think we got everything
Thanks, Kim.
accomplished.
Thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Pardon?
No, I just made a comment. That's
Okay, no,
okay.
I just want to make sure we get the signed forms back, transfer
They will
forms.
they'll be at the town hall tomorrow morning. I will hand them to Leah.
She won't be in. If you want to leave them with me, I'm happy to take them.
I will do that. Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
You
Thanks,
too.
Mike.
Thanks. Okay, folks. Returning to the minutes. Could I have a motion on the approval of minutes for meeting number 32? There are no minutes for meeting number 33. Those are being prepared by the Selectman's office, and they have yet to be forwarded. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve minutes 32.
And that would be May 23rd, 2022. There a second?
McMahon, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Melanie?
Ford, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie,
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes. Okay. Next order of business is, I'm going to stay on the phone, by the way, folks. I'm not going to try to get back on the TV. Sorry, on the internet. So,
I'm back in, Mike.
okay, please bear with me. So the next order of business is some housekeeping. And I wanted to bring up the liaison assignments again. With Hank's departure and Paul Ugel's departure, we have 13 openings for liaison. And I'll just enumerate them for you very quickly if you kind of tuck them in the back of your mind. We have Paul was covering the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, Buildings and Grounds, and the Building Department. Hank was covering the DPW. Hank had a big assignment on some of these projects, on some of these liaisons. The DPW, which included snow and ice, the school committee, the health department, the sewer enterprise, the wastewater treatment plant, water enterprise, and the municipal building committee. So if any of you have any interest in those, I would like to either hear from you that you do, but we'll need to make some assignments in August before we get into the preparations for the special town meeting in October. So if you do have an interest in those, I think what I'll do is I'll send you out by email a list of all of those openings, and you could just get back to me as to whether or not you have an interest. Any
Mike?
questions about? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question. Isn't Buildings and Grounds now part of DPW so that we might eliminate one of them?
You're absolutely right. And thank you for reminding me. I did not have that updated on this list. Okay.
Yes, we need one less volunteer.
Yeah.
But it's a bigger job you're volunteering for.
Right. Right.
Mike, this is John Arnold. Can I speak for a moment?
Of course.
Okay, yeah, I was going to make some remarks later, but I'll do it now because I think it fits into this topic. I know it's a little bit out. I was going to make some remarks before the meeting adjourned. So I know he's not here tonight, but earlier this spring, Hank gave a letter that said as of June 30th, he was going to resign whether I had appointed his replacement or not. So tonight symbolically marks the end of Hank's long tenure on the Advisory Finance Committee. And I wanted to just take a few moments for us all to thank him and acknowledge the great work that he did. So with that said, I also wanted to say I was hoping I was going to have Hank's replacement appointed by tonight's meeting, but the person that I'm in the final part of the process wasn't quite ready to get the paperwork yet. I'm trying to arrange a time for them to meet with Mike to just learn a little bit more about the committee. And so I am hoping at your next meeting, we will be back up to full strength with Gene having taken Paul's slot and a new person who I'm hoping will be taking Hank's remaining term. And I just wanted to remind people that that means that there will be one more person who hopefully will be able to take on the liaison. So I didn't want Mike's lengthy list to think that the 8 of you had to shoulder the burden. I'm hoping that the 9th person will be able to help with some of that. And so I'll make sure part of the introductory part of the appointment, if and when it happens, is to have Mike review the list of liaisons with that person. But anyway, my hope at the next meeting is that I'll be able to introduce a new 9th member of the committee. But again, mostly just wanted to acknowledge in public forum Hank's long-term contribution to the committee. So thank you in absentia, Hank.
Thank you, John. And we're going to go one step better, John. We're going one step better on Hank. A few weeks ago, several of us thought it would be a good idea to make a little presentation to Hank. And I'm disappointed he's not with us tonight because today I picked up that plaque that we had done. We were trying for a shadow box, but it was cost prohibitive, frankly. So I arranged for a plaque to be done, and it's got the Westborough Town seal on the plaque, and it's got a little recognition. It says to Henry Hank Rouch, in recognition of your many years of selfless volunteer service and contributions to the town and people of Westborough. And it's from the Westborough Advisory Finance Committee, June 2022. And attached to that plaque, is Hank's nameplate from the Memorial Hall desk. So I'll send you guys a photograph of this over the next couple of days, and I'll try to make sure that maybe at our next meeting, we can get Hank to come back just to accept this formally.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you all for doing that. That's a wonderful tribute. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Mike?
Moving on. Yes.
Mike, just
Yeah.
while you're on the subject, there are some openings too. We might want to just see if people are interested in those besides those guys on the list.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Are there any liaison reports?
I have one tonight.
Please.
I gotta find it because it was in the dark here. Okay, I'm reporting on the Library Building Committee, which has been very active over the last couple of months. The first item is really great news. I mean, the day has finally arrived. Next Thursday, July 7th, we should be receiving the confirmation of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners grants, the approximately $9.5 million funds. Should be on Thursday at their meeting. And so that kind of gets us into high gear here. In the last few months, we hired an owner's project manager, a company called Vertex, through the pre-fall town meeting phase. And these are being funded by the library trustees funds. So since that time, there was a decision made to use what's called the construction manager at risk type project versus a design bid build, which means we hire a construction manager who gives us a price that sort of sets things a little more clear up front what the costs will be. Versus the design bid build, you bid out everything, take the lowest bid as you go. So the town, with the project manager, or our project manager, the town put out requests for qualifications for that person, and we got 7 interested firms. There's a subcommittee and the architect and the OPM that will interview these firms once they decide that they're qualified, and they'll do a selection next month. The importance of that is that that firm will then do a cost estimate during August in time for knowing the cost of the project for September, which would get us in ahead of October town meeting. At the same time, the committee re-engaged the architect, which is Lamero Pagano, also for the same phase to update their 2016 design work. So since that time, they met with the library staff to find out, 5, 6 years later, what things are better than others nowadays, or more needed maybe than they thought 6 years ago, and what things are not. We met with the town department head. There's a meeting where all the department heads get together, apparently, that Maureen set up them to come in so they could hear from DPW, police, fire, get some ideas on any concerns, with the construction and make the contacts. They're updating the building's need list, which is important if we want the Plan B knowledge of what would it cost to, say, just fix up the building instead of a whole renovation. And so they're updating that because that's also out of date, and gathering that information. And they also met with the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, which is important because they're the ones doing the grant. So there's only certain changes we can actually make. The group, some of us went to visit with the architect, the Worcester and Grafton libraries. I went to the Grafton one last week. Both of these libraries are newly renovated. So we got tours from the librarian and got to see what they did for their renovations, and also things that worked or didn't work. Just learn a little bit more about it. And so the architects will be presenting an updated design to the MBLC. And next Thursday also, the library building committee will get to see the revised design. That updated design will then be used by our construction manager at risk and the architect to generate the cost estimates that we'll need. So it's kind of a busy time right now, and there's a lot of the people from the library board of trustees and the librarian are starting to engage the community with public meetings and also like going to various clubs and talking about the project.
Thank you, Walter. Any questions for Walter? That was pretty extensive.
Yeah, suddenly I realized that I hadn't reported back on this in quite a while, and things are getting, things are starting to soar. So we don't have that many meetings.
Walter, can I ask, with the fix-up budget, and do we have to match those funds?
The fix-up budget. Okay, you mean if we didn't do?
Right.
If we didn't do the grant,
like a renovation, right?
Yeah, so to get the grant, we have to do the renovation to just replace windows and the 20, whatever else you need to be ADA compliant and things like that. There is no grant money, but the town, and so the town would pay fully themselves for it. From quick blush, it looks like it's about, well, with the old amounts, it was about the same amount to the town because you lose $9.5 million of grant, but you do less stuff. But I will wait until we see data to decide that.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Walter, I know that. I'm sorry. I know that Stephen Durrett's name has been brought up before. I know Vertex is a company we've worked with numerous times within the school workspace. Just want to make sure he's, helping contribute behind the scenes with his thoughts and feelings because he's worked very closely with a lot of builders.
Yes. I don't know how much he's been involved with this. I know they use Vertex at Fails, I believe, right? The Fails renovation?
Fails and Armstrong. Yes, Vertex was part of both of those.
Okay. So I think at this point we're just gathering information, but that's a good point. I thought I brought that to someone's attention. I can't recall. I don't know of his involvement at this point.
I just know he has tremendous.
I do know he recommended some people way back when we were looking for people. That's about it. I think he was a reference for Vertex, actually, if I recall.
May well be, but he has tremendous institutional knowledge, and I would love to know that it was being leveraged appropriately. So just a thought. Thanks.
Yeah, good thought.
Anybody else? Hey, thank you, Walter. Any other liaison reports? Okay, moving on. As far as future draft agendas are concerned, next month there will be a select board meeting, and it'll be a regular select board meeting, but there will be an agenda item regarding tax classification. And there will be a presentation, as I've been told, by John Steinberg, and discussion with respect to, it's more of an educational kind of discussion than it's a decision-making discussion. The tax classification or the tax rates are set by the select board in late fall after all of the tax data has come in. But what we're trying to achieve here, I understand, is to educate everyone who has an interest in this and to begin that education at this select board meeting, and then eventually have other meetings with interested parties, including perhaps a public session, and I'm saying perhaps a public session sometime in September. So, basically we're going to hear how taxation works, how the classifications work, the difference between single rate and dual rate. And I know, I understand Leah will be a part of that conversation as well. So I'm encouraging you to attend, not just as a member of the AFC, but as a citizen of Westborough. And I think this will be a very helpful meeting. And hopefully there'll be enough time for public comments or questions on this agenda item. Any questions on that?
What was the
Mike,
date on that again, Mike?
Sorry, July 19th.
and so that won't be in a joint meeting with AFC.
No.
That's just
No.
the select board.
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it will not. It will not. Okay. And then look forward to having a meeting in August. I will start setting out a proposed calendar as we get closer. Is there anything else to come before the committee? Then I would like a motion for adjournment.
Usually
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Who was that did the motion? Sorry.
That was
Bradley.
Andrew.
Andrew, thank you.
Is there a second, please?
Dolan, second.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? If not, we will move to a vote. Melanie?
Board, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Dolan, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Moretti, yes.
6-0.
Folks, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very, very much for understanding that we're a little handicapped tonight, but you know what? They said before it was improvise, adapt, and overcome, and we did. Thank you for your time, and you'll be hearing from me via email in the next few days. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much,
Happy
all.
Fourth.
Happy 4th.
Westborough TV.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.